According to a new book, former Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh never wanted to leave Michigan. Find out why he really did leave right here on Locked On Big Ten.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. So Jim Harbaugh would have stayed? What's this all about? And is Nebraska the new quarterback U? We'll get to that, plus our picks. I'll explain at the end. According to a new book, it's by John Talty and Armin Katayan. It's titled The Price, What It Takes to Win in College Football's Era of Chaos. Good title. That's what's going on right now. According to the book, former Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh wanted to stay in Ann Arbor as the head coach of the Wolverines and his alma mater before ultimately leaving for the NFL to coach the Los Angeles Chargers. So what happened? Well, there were a couple of problems for Harbaugh. Okay, number one, according to the book and according to people in Harbaugh's inner circle, he didn't trust athletic director Ward Manuel. Didn't trust him at all. Publicly, though, Manuel seemed to support Harbaugh and, in fact, reportedly offered to make him the highest paid coach in the history of college football, to the tune of $11 million a year. That seems like support to me. However, Harbaugh allegedly did not feel that Manuel completely supported him behind closed doors, behind his back, in front of all the important people at Michigan, like the Board of Regents. But I always felt like Harbaugh had unprecedented support from Michigan school president Santa Ono. He stood firmly in Harbaugh's corner publicly during Burgergate and Spygate, and through the two suspensions. It was about as supportive of that I've ever seen a president be for anybody, particularly a football coach. And I always thought that with Ono in charge, if push came to shove, Harbaugh would win any battles between himself and Manuel. If there was like a power play going on, if it ever took place between Harbaugh and Manuel, I was under the impression that Harbaugh would win hands down. I think he not only had a fan in the president, I think he had a fan in a lot of the Board of Regents over there. And regarding support from the president and the Board of Regents, there's no way Manuel would have come up with that lucrative contract offer of $11 million, 5 years, $11 million a year, $55 million. Harbaugh had to have had a lot of support behind the scenes with the Regents and the president in order to even get that offer from Manuel. Given all that, it seems like to me that it would be in Manuel's best interest to keep Harbaugh happy. But Harbaugh didn't trust him for whatever reason, whatever was going on. Also, according to the book, Harbaugh really had it in for Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti. We all kind of felt that. Apparently, Petitti allegedly promised to meet with Harbaugh in person in Ann Arbor before levying that second 3-game suspension he had to serve at the end of the year, part of Spygate. However, Petitti allegedly stood up Harbaugh and then just leveled the suspension anyway. Remember, all that occurred at a time where Petitti had said there was no direct evidence that Harbaugh had anything to do with Connor Stalions and Spygate, and it appeared that Stalions had just gone rogue with his advanced scouting system. I guess somebody had to take the fall since Harbaugh was the head guy in charge of the program. But remember how this all came about. Little refresher course here. This is right in the middle of the season. Remember, Michigan's undefeated, looking like they're going to be cruising to the playoffs at the very least. Remember 1 week, I believe it was in the middle of October, there were back-to-back conference calls with Petitti, the commissioner. One day it was all the athletic directors in the Big Ten. And then the next day, it was all the football coaches in the Big Ten, except for Harbaugh. And they all demanded that Petitti take action against Harbaugh right now. This is before any evidence was gathered. The story was brand new. And he ended up suspending Harbaugh at that point. That's what they wanted him to do. He caved because their whole argument was that an actual investigation, they were all sure everybody was guilty here. And they were all sure that any kind of investigation by the Big Ten or the NCAA would take weeks and months, and by then the season would be over. He had to do something now, they said. And he did. And because we all thought Harbaugh would be gone by then. The season would be over by then. The championship would be won by then. They waited until all the investigation. By the way, where is the Spygate investigation now? More of that in a moment. So fast forward to the job interview he was having with the Chargers. He just won a national championship. They were actively courting him. I mean, the rumors were out that was their guy. They wanted that guy. They poured it on, welcoming him, talking to him, playing to his ego a little bit. Meanwhile, Harbaugh felt like Michigan was just kind of like wait and see mode. Whatever happens, happens. And of course, you're going to feel more wanted over in Los Angeles. But I also don't think that you can underestimate the constant battles between Harbaugh and the NCAA on his ultimate decision. Burgergate was a long, drawn-out affair, and Spygate just came out of nowhere. And if it's true that Harbaugh had no knowledge or involvement in that matter and still had to sit out 3 games for that, it'd be very natural to imagine Harbaugh just putting his hands in the air and say, why do I need this? I don't need this. Let me go make more money in the NFL, take a job where I just coach football, and that's exactly what I love doing, and go get some sunshine in Southern California all year long. You know, there was also some thought at about this point of the story that the NCAA was going to keep on coming. And there were stories out there that if Harbaugh had returned, that he would be suspended for half of 2024 as well. He's like, I don't need this. Let's go get a fresh start. Let's go do my thing in the NFL. Let me go chase a Lombardi trophy so I can have one just like my brother and see what happens there. Despite his love for his alma mater at Michigan, look, he can say no matter what, he got him into the promised land. They had an undefeated 15-0 season capped off with a national championship. And it was just time to ride off into the sunset out there in California. And by the way, regarding that Spygate investigation, what have you heard? Nothing from the Big Ten, nothing from the NCAA. It's like it's gone. Nobody's even seen Connor Stallions anywhere. Everything's just disappeared. In fact, it was in the news just a few days ago. We talked about the fact that it was Michigan State athletic director Alan Haller. He's the one upset about all this because remember that picture allegedly of Connor Stallions on the sideline of the Central Michigan State game, the season opener last year? Haller's like, look, man, this happened on my watch, on my property. Where's the investigation? What's going on? Central Michigan's not saying anything. The NCAA is not saying anything. Nobody knows anything. Or they know stuff. Nobody's saying anything. And even when you even have Michigan State athletic director Alan Haller saying, hey, what's up with this investigation for Michigan? I want to know. Happened on my property. So anyway, that seems to have just disappeared. It disappeared just like Harbaugh disappeared. And this, of course, will feed into conspiracy theories or thought processes that the NCAA just had it in for Harbaugh. No matter what, they were going to get him on something. There were people that believed that. I think Harbaugh believed that. And the reason why was because he's very outspoken, always has been outspoken against the NCAA. It doesn't take much to get Harbaugh to criticize the NCAA, but he really went in strong on them on how players should be paid. They should be getting this money that all the NCAA is raking in. It should go to the players. Well, he was right about that. Now look where we are. We're on the doorstep of a revenue sharing program in all of college athletics. And this is all while name, image, and likeness is going on. Look, whether Harbaugh wanted to stay at Michigan the rest of his career or whether it was time to go, no one could say for sure. But every year, at the end of every season, it seemed like he was always flirting around with NFL coaching jobs. And that seemed to be where, he always wanted to return. And I think that's where Ward Manuel's like going, come on, man. Again, every year, probably got a little tired of that. And maybe there was some friction between those two. But he can take satisfaction, Harbaugh can, and knowing that he got his alma mater back to the top of the mountain, and now he can chase that Lombardi trophy in the National Football League. Love to hear from you. I know you Michigan fans have something to say about this. You can hit us up on YouTube with the comments or on Twitter at Talk Big Ten. Don't forget our website, talkbig1010.com. and always love to hear from you there. If you like what you are hearing and seeing, thank you for checking us out. Glad to have you. Be sure to subscribe. If you don't mind, click the subscribe button. That's it. Nothing else is required. And then you're in the loop with me, and I'm in the loop with you all the time here with all of our Big Ten talk that we do each and every day. So subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. By the way, the audio-only versions are out as early as 4 a.m. Eastern time, and the video on YouTube comes out at 6 a.m. Eastern every single day. Add Nebraska to the list of teams that are not excited about the new Fox Friday night college football package. Speaking of Nebraska, all of a sudden it seems like they've become quarterback U. What is going on? That is very amazing what's going on out there. Plus, we'll check in on the Big Ten baseball tournament that's going on. It's a big week. All that coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. FanDuel's fun, first of all. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, and player props and more. Everything they have. It's right there. Very easy to follow. Very organized. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, time for some tips. Friday night, what do we got going on? A little NBA, a little Stanley Cup playoffs. First of all, we'll start with the NBA. The Mavs and the Timberwolves. Okay, the Mavs took game 1, 1-0. The Timberwolves should have had it. Both the Timberwolves and the Pacers in their respective games. Younger teams, up-and-coming teams, didn't close it when they had leads in the fourth quarter. This time, Vegas says Minnesota by 5.5. I like them to even up this series. Give me the Timberwolves. The 207.5 for the total seems about right. I'd stay away from that one. Meanwhile, hockey, Panthers and Rangers going at it. These goalies are phenomenal. The Panthers took game 1. I think the Rangers even up at game 2. I think this could be about a 6-game series. What I like here is the 5.5. Take the under. Great goalies, great defense. That's what I say. Check it all out at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. I want to thank all of you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day. Spread the word. Tell your friends about us, especially if they're Big Ten alum or fans. You everydayers out there, thanks for making us go. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe real quick. And that's on the YouTube, and you can share and follow Locked On Big Ten no matter where you catch us. We'll get your podcast. Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget our website, talkbig1010.com. All of our podcasts are there. Merch is there. Whatever you need, right there at your fingertips. Earlier this week, we told you about the new Friday night college football schedule on Fox and how it's going to be overloaded with Big Ten teams. A lot of Big Ten teams in that package. Some teams like Michigan State embrace the idea of playing on Friday night. They like to do that early in the season if they can. Other teams like Michigan and Ohio State absolutely hate it. They want to play on Friday night. I know in Michigan's case, they still cling to the old adage that, hey, we don't want to go head-to-head and take away from high school football on Friday nights. You'll occasionally see Ohio State on a Friday night. I'm hard-pressed to think that if I ever seen Michigan on a Friday night game ever. I'm sure if it's happened, you'll let me know. But on September 20th, the Nebraska Cornhuskers play the Illinois Fighting Illini. And, Nebraska, I think, is one of those teams. They don't necessarily relish playing on the Friday nights, except for their Black Friday. But here, this is different because they've got a sellout streak going, and Friday night games are a little harder to fill. Although I think they'll still do it. But the way this lines up, this would be their 400th consecutive sellout. That's a long time to be selling out football games. And they don't want to see that streak come to an end. Maybe there's a few thousand seats left over for a Friday night televised game. Anyway, I just throw that out there because people are talking about it. Now, speaking of Nebraska, they seem to be becoming quarterback university. First, they got Dylan Raiola, right? TJ Lateef. Now they're looking at Samaj Beals for the 2026 class. In fact, Nebraska just offered Beals that scholarship He's a Philly product. He's received 23 offers now. Everybody wants him. Everybody wants him. In fact, some of them are Alabama, Indiana, Illinois, Maryland, Penn State, Rutgers, Southern Cal. Everybody seems to want this kid. So keep an eye on that. Samaj Beals out of Philadelphia, class of 2026. Anytime that we talk about recruiting in any way, it's always brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs, our good friends there. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Wyoming defensive lineman Gavin Meyer. It's a big target for a lot of schools in the transfer portal. He has decided to come to a Big Ten school. He's going to go to Southern Cal. I feel like I need a little drum roll when I announce these. He's going to Southern Cal, USC. The Wisconsin Badgers were in deep for this guy. They really wanted him. Also, Illinois was taking a shot at him, as was Cal on his short list. So, again, USC, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Cal were his final four. Going to USC, but the Badgers were hopeful up to the last minute because Meyer's from Franklin, Wisconsin. He's a Wisconsin native, but they didn't get him. Meanwhile, the Big Ten baseball tournament continues, and Friday today, 3:00 Eastern time from Omaha, Nebraska. Number 2 seed Nebraska taking on number 7 seed Ohio State today, and then at 8:00 Eastern, got the number 1 seed and regular season champion Illinois. They're playing against a team to be determined as of the taping of this podcast here. The semifinals are on Saturday, and the championship is at 3:00 Eastern time on Sunday. And that'll be on the Big Ten Network, by the way. Speaking of baseball, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, they just named 2015 alum and current pitching coach Ty McDevitt the school's new head coach. The 31-year-old gets a 3-year contract on the deal. McDevitt replaces John Anderson, who coached the Gophers for 43 years, from 1982 to 2024, and won 1,390 games. Career well done. Good job, and good luck to McDevitt taking over for the legend up there in Minnesota. You watch daytime TV, any the talking heads, the pundits on ESPN or FS1 or Fox? You ever get tired of them talking over each other? Or maybe they're just screaming at you. Who needs that? You're probably turning down the volume half the time. I'm going to tell you about a free 24/7 sports streaming channel. It's Locked On Sports Today. I recommend this show is on there every once in a while as well. So Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, news, and streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, every once in a while, we do our picks on Friday, and I always keep an eye on national championship futures and stuff like that. They change a little bit now that we're out of spring football, transfer portal. The odds have shifted a little bit for your futures. Who's going to win a national championship? I'll show you the top 10 for the entire country. There are some Big Ten teams in that mix, and I will show you the entire Big Ten and who has the longest odds, shortest odds, all that coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. You want to go to a game? Any kind of game, whether it be the Big Ten championship game, Major League Baseball, catch a playoff game, go to Game Time. The Game Time app gets you your tickets in your hands on your phone. Super easy. Couple of taps and it's there. They're great. They're a fantastic source to get your tickets. They have also last minute ticket deals. Sometimes you wait till the last second, you pay more. Not here. At Game Time, you could save up to 60% of buying last minute tickets for sports and concerts and comedy shows and theater. If it has a ticket, you can get it on Game Time. They got their flash deals where you can save even more with exclusive in-app deal, select seats ahead of the game or the event. They got zone deals. These are zone deals. You save even more when you just choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. I like the feature that you can see a picture taken from the seat of the ticket you're about to buy. So you have a good view or not. That is awesome. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, just create an account and the redeem code Locked On College. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, it's time for our closing feature today, where we are going to look at the latest futures odds for national championships in college football. We'll put this on the screen. We'll start you out with the top 10 nationwide, and we'll see where the Big Ten teams fall in here. So here we are on the big screen. Right now, Georgia still the leader to win a national championship at plus 325, but Ohio State is right there at plus 350. So those are your two favorites right now with the betting futures to win the national championship. Texas is in there at number 3. They had a deep run last year. They're going to be in the big house of Michigan in week 2 this year, plus 750. Big Ten newcomer Oregon at plus 900. A lot of people have speculated maybe we'll have an Ohio State Oregon Big Ten championship game this year. Maybe. We've talked about that a lot here on Locked On Big Ten. LSU, Ole Miss, and Alabama are plus 1,600. Man, if I had I don't know if it's a sleeper pick. I would. That's some good value there at Ole Miss. Let's just say that. Let's just say Lane Kiffin's got his best team there that he's ever had. Notre Dame at plus 2,200. And then we round out the top 10 with Michigan and Penn State at plus 2,500 to win the national championship. How about the best of the rest? The rest of the Big Ten. Newcomer Southern Cal. They're at plus 6,000 on here. Then we take a pretty big jump. Washington at plus 15,000 and Wisconsin at plus 25,000. So here are your really big long shots, but maybe you'll find where your favorite team is and you'll sprinkle a little side action on it. UCLA, Nebraska, and Iowa all coming in at plus 30,000. Maryland and Michigan State at plus 40,000. Now we get into the really deep, long odds here. Indiana, Minnesota, Rutgers, Illinois, and Purdue all at plus 100,000. Hey, if it hits, pay off the mortgage. Northwestern at plus 200,000. No respect for Northwestern. The team won 8 games last year. What's going on? Not Vegas not expecting much of a repeat season for Northwestern this year. So there you have it. There are college football futures for a national championship, part of our pick segment here. Not a lot going on game-wise, so we'll do features like this and keep an eye on futures and prop bets and all that kind of stuff throughout the summer. But there you have it. All good to go. See what you think. All right. That'll do it, man. Thank you so much for checking us out here today. Again, love to hear from you, especially over the holiday Memorial Day weekend. Go ahead and shoot us a tweet or X on Twitter at TalkBig10 number 10. Don't forget our website, TalkBig10number10.com. Get yourself some merch for the summertime, some shirts, some pennants, some hats, all that kind of stuff. And check out all of our podcasts. You know, if you've got an extra 3-day weekend, maybe you get time for an extra podcast, maybe right after this one. Check out another Locked On Big Ten episode. They're all right there on our website, TalkBig10 number 10.com. They're all in chronological order or grouped by your schools or teams, so it's easy to find. Like today, we talked a lot about Jim Harbaugh at the beginning. This one will be under the Michigan file. Really easy for you to find it that way. That's how we do all of these things. So check those out. And in the meantime, don't forget, interact with me at Twitter, YouTube with the comments, and the website. Plus, before you go, subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. No other information is required. You just click a button and we're in the same group together. Subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app and to get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. When you're done watching several episodes of Locked On Big Ten, don't forget our friends over at Locked On Sports Today, 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every single league. So go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe there as well. This is the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. I hope you and your family have a wonderful and safe Memorial Day weekend. Thank you very much for checking us out. Hey, if you're getting together with some friends and family, do us a favor. Tell them about us here at Locked On Big Ten, especially if they like Big Ten sports or they're an alum. Word of mouth is fantastic for us. So when you get together, say, hey, I check out this podcast here every day, Locked On Big Ten. We would really, really appreciate it. Until then, we'll talk to you next week. Have a great holiday weekend. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.